Hey guys, it's with Notebooks and Coffee Nooks coming at you with another Hobonichi video. I know I just did one of these, but I'm really kind of trying to get over my planner dilemma to see if I can find some planner piece for 2018. As you guys may have known if you see the last video, is that in 2017, I bought a Hobonichi. Here's my little pink box. And I originally just had the Cousin Avec in there, and I loved using it for the first 6 months, but after that I just kind of couldn't anymore. And so when I was in Japan, I snagged a Avec for July to December in the original size, and right now I'm currently kind of obsessed with that. So now we're at the time of the year where most of the September 1st people have already placed their order, and so I feel a little bit like I need to make haste before things start to sell out, and suddenly we're in December and I don't have a planner. So this is kind of my thought process of how I decided what I'm going to order for my 2018 Hobonichi Techo. And so I've just kind of put some stuff, this is just cut up like post-it notes to kind of hide things so that I can talk about them as they come up. So I decided to kind of identify the key things that I enjoyed about this year's planning, and then the key things that I didn't enjoy, and then kind of how I can solve all that, and then we start looking at prices. So maybe this could help some other people who are in the same situation as me in kind of figuring out how to plan for next year. And if you want to stay with the Hobonichi, maybe if you want to switch it up, because I know a lot of people like the Filofax planners or Traveler's notebooks, and you know, maybe if this really isn't working for you, it's okay. I know there's a lot of people who are really obsessed with the Hobonichi and will swear by it forever, and as much as I really love my Hobonichi, it's totally okay to just drop it and go, you know what, I need to try something completely different, because if I didn't do that, then I wouldn't have found the Hobonichi in the first place. So anyways, I wanted to start with what's working. So what do I really love about the Hobonichi right now? My first thing is that the Tomoe River paper. So obviously most of you probably know about this, but the Hobonichi is really famous for its Tomoe River paper that's really thin but also very usable, and I paint in it and I draw in it and I doodle and just everything, and it holds up all of the time. It holds up super well. So I love the Tomoe River paper and I don't want to lose that. I also love the Japanese practice that it gives me. I understand now that there is a version of the planner in original size that comes in English, but I'm kind of steering away from ordering that because looking at the quotes every single day, like let's just look at the Cousin example, I can read and practice and see what kanji I know, what kanji I don't know, and things like the days of the week, and just all things like that that you wouldn't get practice with as much if I didn't have this notebook. At least not for me. I know some people, you know, if you live in Japan or places where there's a lot of Japanese, then you might pick up the language faster, but this is for me to kind of try and maintain things, and it just gives me something to read every day. The monthly spreads in this planner are amazing and I love them. When I was bullet journaling, which I did for 2 years before I found the Hobonichi, I would make kind of the regular kind of list monthly spreads that Rydell Carroll, the original guy who made the Hobonichi, did. And as much as they worked for me, they don't work nearly as well as the monthly spreads in the Hobonichi. And I understand I could probably just make boxes in my bullet journal, but to be quite frank, I am too lazy, and I will forget to do it, and it will be bad, and then I just won't have a monthly spread, and that kind of bugs me. So I like having, that's another thing I should add on here, is I like having already made spreads, because then that gets it so that I can just get right into planning, and I don't have to worry about, you know, sitting down for an hour and putting a spread together. I can just sit down and go, okay, what do I need to get done this month? And there's not as much of a wait time there. And then the last thing is that it keeps me accountably creative. So the Hobonichi every single day, while I don't feel pressure to draw in it every single day, but Inktober is coming up and I really want to be a part of that, so that month will be a little bit different. I could make some little vlogs about that if you guys care. But basically I get to be creative in the Hobonichi because when I have little extra space, especially in the A6 size, I can just, you know, doodle something. And it's a small enough area that I don't feel like I'm making a huge portrait every single day, but I get to be creative, and I love that. And that's one of the reasons I started using kind of notebooks and getting into journaling and planning in the first place, is I love the creativity of it. So now that we've been all positive, we're gonna start complaining a little bit, and that's what's not working. Now this is kind of from a standpoint of the whole year, so half the year with the cousin and half the year with the A6 objectively. Now the main thing that isn't working is the cousin is too big. And if you watch my last video, you totally know what I mean by this. It's just way too big for me, and I can never fill it. And what I just said about, you know, being accountably creative and creating all these kind of little artworks and stuff, I would try to do that, but I would get overwhelmed, and I don't really get overwhelmed in the A6, so the cousin is just too big. Then the next thing is vertical weekly spreads. So in the cousin, it has weekly spreads, and in the A6 size, you can get weekly spreads, and they, you know, are basically the same thing, just in their own space in the pocket. It's an extra memo book. Sorry. I never really figured out how to use this. I know some people love it, and if it works for you, that's fantastic, and I'm really happy. But for me personally, I love weekly spreads, but I just can't do the vertical weekly spread. I'm not really sure why, and maybe in a few years I'll be able to come back to it and things will work out a little bit differently, but for right now, that's not how it's going. And the last thing is there's not enough memo space. So at the back of the Hobonichi, there's like 2-3 memo pages, maybe some more in full books. I'm not sure, I've never had a full book before. But for me, coming from a bullet journal, I'm used to having that freedom of being able to just list whatever I want. And so, as much as I said before, I love, you know, having the freedom and not having to make spreads, but at the same time, I really miss memo pages because sometimes I need to track things that don't really have space in the monthly, weekly, or daily spreads because I need to, you know, flip back to them so it wouldn't fit on a daily, or financial planning is a little bit messy right now, so it needs more space than just kind of on the side of the month. So that's kind of my last gripe. The last thing you need to decide, I think, is are you staying with the current planner brand? I think I touched on this at the beginning of the video, but it's not like a horrible sin to decide to not use a Hobonichi anymore. People do it all the time. So if the Hobonichi really isn't working for you, maybe you should switch planners, try a ring binder, try a 365 notebook, like a Moleskine, whatever works for you, or go to bullet journaling, go to whatever you want. For me, personally though, just take that off right here, I am sticking with the Hobonichi. I am willing to give it another year, considering how much I like the A6. And the new things I think I'm gonna try in 2018 are gonna really fix it. In 2017, I just bought the cousin thinking, this is a good size for me, I wanna try out the Hobonichi but not spend too much money. Now I feel like I can kind of sink my teeth in and invest in it a little bit more. So now we look at how are we going to fix these issues. Now you've kind of acknowledged what you really wanna keep, what you really wanna get rid of, and what kind of brand you're sticking with. So now, how are we going to go about fixing these issues? These are the solutions that I came up for my issues. Of course, for everyone, it's going to be different for themselves every single year, but for me, I'm going to move from the cousin permanently to an original size, so I'm not going back to the cousin in January, I'm going to stay with the A6. And that's just, again, because the cousin is too big for me, and I don't even really like the vertical weekly spread, so that kind of adds nothing to my experience. Then, use the horizontal weekly spreads in the week size. So I've made my decision, I'm going to try a week's. I feel like I can get enough out of a week's, or enough out of the experience, to justify purchasing one in 2018, and if it goes to crap, then I won't buy another one again, and that'll just be the way it is. And then use the week's memo pages for access to a mini bullet journal. This is the thing that kind of really sold me. Not only do I have access to a week's spread that I feel like will get a lot more use for me than the one that's provided in the cousin and in the memo notebook for the A6, But I also have, I think it's 72 memo pages at the back of the weeks, which is fantastic and I love it. And I think that I can really use those and put them to good use and then not feel kind of the hurt of missing my bullet journal. So then at the end, you have to put it all together and go, is it budget friendly? So for me personally, I wanted to keep everything under 100,000 yen this year. I know some people, everybody has different budgets. For me, ordering an original and a week's, including cover on covers and shitajikis, is less than 100,000 yen. So fantastic for me, I'm set. So I just wanted to make this video to kind of show what my thought process is and how I went about deciding what I'm ordering for my Hobonichi. So now that I've placed the order, the unboxing video will be on the way once it gets here, which takes quite a while for some people, as you guys have kind of seen, especially the people who ordered right on September 1st. But anyways, I hope this might have helped somebody who is, trying to figure out how to get to their own planner piece, because this is how I feel like I can, get a good start on mine for 2018. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel. If you enjoyed this video or got something out of it, you could hit that like button or hit the subscribe button. That would be fantastic. I appreciate it so much. Thank you again just for making it through this video. I hope your planning season for 2018 goes fantastic, and have a nice day.